Are you tired of checking your bank account with that knot of fear in your stomach? Has financial worry become your constant companion, even as you silently pray for abundance? Stay with me, because tonight's meditation may completely transform how you experience wealth. But before we begin, please tap the like button and let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing our global community come together now. What if I told you that your financial struggles aren't about luck, worthiness, or how hard you work? The truth is, you were designed for overflow. Abundance is your natural state. Think about this. Have you ever worked harder, saved more, followed all the advice, and yet money still seemed to slip through your fingers like water? That's because we've been conditioned to see money through the wrong lens. Money isn't controlled by the economy, the stock market, or even your job. Those are simply outer reflections of a deeper truth. Money flows according to divine law. Lack and limitation don't mean you're forgotten or forsaken. They simply mean you've fallen out of alignment with the spiritual frequencies that govern increase. What if your financial reality has nothing to do with external circumstances and everything to do with your inner vibration? Your thoughts, your words, and your emotions are constantly programming your financial life. Tonight, as you drift into restorative sleep, I'll guide you through principles that can reset your entire financial foundation. You'll learn how to speak wealth into being, align with abundance, and become a magnetic channel for divine supply. The real breakthrough begins when you realize this: God, not your job, not the government, not even your own effort, is your true source. When you align with this infinite supply through specific practices and declarations, doors open. Not someday, not after your next promotion, right now. Most people stay stuck in financial anxiety because they don't understand this truth. Your financial situation doesn't respond to effort, it responds to vibration. You can work 80 hours a week, run multiple side hustles, follow every strategy, and still remain stuck if your frequency isn't aligned with abundance. You cannot outwork missile, LIGNMENT. So, if this resonates, subscribe and join our community of conscious creators. Each meditation we share becomes a thread in the tapestry of abundance. We're weaving together. Think of your relationship with money like a radio frequency. If you're tuned to lack, you'll never hear abundance. Your inner dialogue, your emotional reactions, and your words are either attracting or repelling. Well, here's a powerful shift. Every word you speak about money is either a deposit or a withdrawal from your spiritual bank account. Casual complaints about bills, jokes about being broke, sighs of frustration, these are real withdrawals. Meanwhile, your thoughts act like compound interest. Worry multiplies lack, but expecting increase multiplies abundance. This isn't a metaphor, it's the mechanism of manifestation. Most people unknowingly drain their financial energy with words of scarcity while praying for prosperity. This contradiction keeps them frozen. But there are divine law-specific codes that unlock the vault of abundance. Just as a physical safe requires the right combination, financial overflow requires spiritual alignment. These laws don't respond to your background, education, or current situation. They respond to your belief, your alignment, and your declarations. Your words are the currency of creation. Every sentence forms molds in the invisible realm, and divine substance fills those molds. Fear shapes lack, faith shapes abundance. Write in the comments, I'm ready to align my vibration with wealth. Here's another truth. Money isn't good or evil. It simply obeys vibration. Like gravity, it responds without judgment. If you've experienced instability or struggle, it isn't punishment, it's feedback. Your bank balance is a mirror showing your dominant vibration. The moment you change your vibration, your financial reality must respond. Not because you forced circumstances, but because you aligned with divine law. Money isn't something to chase, beg for, or convince. It's meant to be commanded. When you approach it with desperation or fear, it doesn't respond. But when you speak with clarity, conviction, and authority, money obeys. The universe is constantly listening for your vibration around wealth. It pours abundance into alignment, not confusion. It responds to command, not complaint. You are not a beggar at the table of the universe. You are a channel through which abundance flows. When you speak with authority, your financial world begins to shift. So don't let this moment pass. Subscribe now and continue your journey into divine prosperity. The key shift is this. Stop seeing yourself as someone who chases money. See yourself as someone who channels it. Most people look at empty accounts, speak lack, and then wonder why life reflects the same emptiness. But when you align with spiritual law, Money cannot ignore your command. If you recognize that you've been speaking lack while hoping for abundance, type in the comments, I now command wealth with clarity. Wealth is not random. It isn't reserved for the lucky few. It's revealed to those who align with divine principles. Behind every truly wealthy person is alignment, whether conscious or not, with these laws. Without this foundation, even the best strategies eventually collapse. This is why some people gain wealth only to lose it, or live in constant fear despite having money. Their wealth isn't anchored in divine law. Sustainable abundance requires alignment, not just hustle. One last misconception to release: the belief that poverty is somehow more spiritual than prosperity. This false teaching has held countless souls back. Scripture itself says in 3 John 1-2, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. Abundance is not only allowed, it's divinely intended, and the moment you embrace this, your relationship with money will never be the same. Prosperity is not just a spiritual desire, it's explicitly named as a divine desire. Scripture makes it clear that prosperity is meant to be both spiritual and material. Our inner prosperity and our external abundance are designed to flow together, not oppose one another. This truth dismantles the old belief that poverty is pious, or that scarcity is somehow sacred. If we truly believe that God is our source and infinitely abundant divine mind, how could lack ever be His plan for our lives? The path to financial freedom begins with healing this misconception. Prosperity is not a spiritual compromise, it's a spiritual covenant. When you accept this, the guilt that has blocked your abundance dissolves. The fear that wealth might make you less spiritual transforms into the understanding that your prosperity is part of your purpose. Think about it. How much more could you give, serve, and impact others if you lived from a place of overflow instead of lack? True generosity comes from abundance, never depletion. The universe is not honored by your struggle. It is honored when you step fully into what has been divinely prepared for you at this moment. You stand at a crossroads. Many hear these truths, feel their power, and yet retreat back into the familiar comfort of limitation simply because it's what they've always known. But those who choose to move forward, to embrace that divine desire, includes their material well-being, step into an entirely new dimension of possibility. Prosperity isn't about accumulating for ego's sake. It's about allowing divine abundance to flow through you, free from fear, guilt, or limiting beliefs. When your soul prospers through alignment with truth, your external reality must eventually mirror that prosperity. If you're ready to release the false belief that poverty is more spiritual than prosperity, type in the comments, abundance is my divine birthright. Now, let's go deeper. Once we recognize that wealth is our divine inheritance, we must also recognize the vehicle through which we claim it. The spoken word. Your words are not just expressions, they are creative forces that shape reality. The universe doesn't respond to what you want or need. It responds to what you declare with conviction and authority. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who dared to speak a new reality into existence. Long before evidence appeared, they stopped agreeing with lack and instead spoke words of faith and abundance until their world shifted to match their declaration. Most people speak reporting what they see. Empty bank accounts, overdue bills, financial stress, but those who prosper speak creatively. They declare what must be, regardless of current circumstances. Before we go further, understand this. The 7 divine laws I'm about to reveal are not casual techniques. They are not quick tips or tricks. They are frequencies to be embodied. You don't dabble in frequency, you become it. These laws are your divine inheritance, written into your spiritual DNA. They aren't foreign ideas you have to learn, but eternal truths you are remembering. To activate them, 3 things are required: your mouth, your identity, and your obedience. Your mouth speaks these laws into motion. Your identity determines how much abundance you can hold. Your obedience, your consistency, decides how powerfully they manifest in your life. Too many people approach prosperity principles intellectually. They understand them, but they don't embody them. It's like studying swimming without ever entering the water. Knowledge without embodiment is an illusion of progress. So ask yourself, will you stand at a distance, observing these laws, or will you let them rewire your entire being? Will you remain a student of prosperity, or will you become a living demonstration of it? Those who embody these laws don't chase money. Money chases them. They don't manipulate circumstances. Circumstances align with their vibration. If you're ready to move from knowledge into embodiment, type in the comments, "I am the embodiment of divine prosperity." Now let's begin with the first of the 7 divine laws, the law of the word. Every word you speak creates a spiritual mold, a container for divine substance. This is not poetic, it's the literal mechanism of creation. When your words are filled with fear, doubt, or anxiety about money, you shape molds of scarcity. But when your words are rooted in faith, certainty, and expectation, those molds overflow with supply. It's not a question of whether divine substance is available. It's always infinite. The question is, what kind of molds are you forming with your speech? Here's the paradigm shift. Casual phrases like, "I can't afford that," or "money always slips through my fingers," aren't harmless. They're spiritual blueprints, submitted for manifestation. The law multiplies what you speak without judgment. Say, "I'm always behind," and the law confirms it. Say, "I'm broke again," and it fulfills it. But your voice is not meant to be a thermometer, reporting current conditions. It was designed to be a thermostat, setting the conditions you want to see. When you stop echoing what is, and start declaring what must be, your financial reality begins to shift. Every word is a seed planted in the soil of divine mind. Today's financial struggles are often the harvest of yesterday's careless words. The question is, what seeds will you plant today? Will you keep repeating lack, or will you speak increase until it manifests? Behind every financial miracle is someone who refused to let their mouth agree with lack. They didn't wait to see change before speaking differently. They spoke differently until change came. If you're ready to stop reporting your financial reality and start creating it, write in the comments, "My words create my wealth." Now, let's step into the second divine law, the law of circulation. This law disrupts much of what we've been taught about money. Most people grip money tightly, afraid to let it go. But here's the truth. Money is meant to move. It is not designed to be hoarded or buried. Money is spirit in motion, and like all divine energy, it expands when it flows. Think of a pond. If water flows in and out, the pond stays fresh and vibrant. But if water only flows in and never out, it becomes stagnant, toxic, unable to support life. The same is true for your finances. When you circulate money with joy, confidence, and expectation, the law multiplies it back to you. But when you clutch money in fear, you choke the flow. You tell the universe you don't trust it to return. And divine law cannot multiply in an atmosphere of suspicion. It multiplies in rhythm, in flow, in faith. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who dared to release in faith rather than clutch in fear. What they once called being careful was actually hoarding rooted in distrust. True wisdom is not contraction, it is circulation. Here's the deeper revelation. Circulation doesn't automatically multiply without your declaration. Many people give, spend, or invest, but never activate the return because they don't speak it into being. The loop completes only when release is combined with declaration. This law teaches us that every act of circulation is a spiritual act, not just a financial one. When you release with faith and speak abundance over it, you unlock multiplication, and that is how the flow of money begins to serve you, instead of you serving it. Many people release money, but they do it in silence, without commanding the harvest, without declaring multiplication, without sealing the transaction with spiritual authority. It's like planting seeds without watering them, then wondering why nothing grows. When you release money with declaration, with a faith-filled statement of expected return, you activate a completely different level of circulation. You're no longer just spending or giving, you're sowing with intention and commanding the harvest. Every dollar you release should be accompanied by a powerful declaration. Every dollar I release returns to me multiplied, under grace, in perfect ways. This isn't magical thinking, it's alignment with divine law. You're not giving to lose, but to increase. You're not spending to deplete, but to activate the cycle of return. You're not circulating from fear, but from the unshakable confidence of a divine steward who understands the spiritual economy. Transformation in your financial life begins when you refuse to release another dollar without speaking over it. Whether you're paying bills, making a purchase, giving to charity, or investing, pause before the transaction and declare its return. Assign it a vibration. Make every financial exchange a testimony of divine law in action. This is the decisive crossroads between two groups of people. those who experience money as a one-way street flowing away from them, and those who experience it as a divine cycle, always returning multiplied. The difference isn't in how much they make or spend, it's in how they speak over what they release. When circulation is done in truth, and sealed with declaration, it becomes the river of your increase. Like the tides that flow out only to return with greater force, your money begins to follow the rhythm of your spoken expectations. The first two laws, the law of the word and the law of circulation, work together in perfect harmony. One commands, the other activates. One speaks, the other multiplies. If you're ready to transform how you release money and activate the divine loop of return, type in the comments, I declare multiplication over every dollar I release. Now, let's explore how these first two laws create the foundation for a new relationship with money, and how they integrate to form a complete framework for financial transformation. Here's a practice that might seem small but creates profound ripples in your financial reality. Never give another dollar without speaking over it. Declare its return. Assign it a vibration. Every transaction is not just a financial exchange, it's a spiritual declaration. When you pay your rent silently, feeling drained, you program that money to disappear. But when you pay that same bill while declaring, this money blesses everyone it touches and returns to me multiplied, you completely transform the energy of that transaction. The hidden truth of financial mastery is this: every dollar carries the vibration you assign to it. Most people unconsciously assign vibrations of loss, anxiety, or resentment to their money as it leaves their hands. Then they wonder why abundance seems to flow away instead of toward them. Your financial life cannot rise above the dominant vibration you attach to your transactions. This awakening invites you to make every financial exchange a testimony of spiritual law in action. Whether you're buying groceries, paying utilities, or making an investment, pause and speak over that money. Declare its purpose, its blessing, and most importantly, its return. This isn't superstition, it's alignment with the vibrational nature of the phenomena. Now let's go deeper into the journey of financial mastery with the third divine law, the law of assumption. This principle reveals why some manifest wealth with ease while others remain stuck in struggle. You must walk, speak, and expect as if your manifestation is already complete. You cannot call in prosperity while living in the vibration of waiting. You must collapse the timeline and assume fulfillment. Most people live in what I call spiritual delay. They pray for prosperity but vibrate in someday energy. They affirm abundance but inwardly feel it's still far off. That contradiction creates the very gap that keeps their good at a distance. The shift happens when you realize that, in divine mind, your demonstration is already complete. The wealth you seek already exists in the invisible realm. Your work isn't to create it, it's to assume it into visibility through your vibration. This is why Jesus taught, what things soever the desire, when they pray, believe that they receive them, and they shall have them. The key phrase is, believe that they receive, present tense, not future. When you wake up, don't say, someday I'll be free. Say, I am free now. When you look at a bill, don't say, I hope I can pay this. Declare, my supply meets every demand on time, without strain. This is the posture of assumption, the key that unlocks manifestation. This isn't delusion, it's spiritual rehearsal. You're training your body, your breath, and even your cells to radiate the condition you command. The journey from waiting to receiving requires a decisive shift in consciousness. You must stand firmly in the vibration of already done, rather than still coming. You must feel the wealth you declare before it ever arrives in physical form. This collapsed timeline isn't about manipulating reality, it's about aligning with divine truth that transcends linear time. Behind every financial miracle is someone who refused to wait for physical evidence before feeling wealthy. They walked, talked, and breathed as if prosperity was already theirs, and because their inner state matched the vibration of fulfillment, not seeking, the universe had no choice but to mirror that fulfillment back. The practice of assumption is the bridge between invisible and visible manifestation. If you act poor, speak doubt, and vibrate delay, then the law must keep you rehearsing that very condition. But if you step into the energy of wealth, speaking, feeling, and declaring it as now, then divine law rearranges substance to match your vibration. If you're ready to collapse the timeline and live from the vibration of already done rather than waiting, write in the comments, I assume my wealth is complete now. Let's go deeper and explore how these laws of prosperity work together to transform your financial reality. Here's a subtle but critical distinction: the way you speak about your finances. Most people use what I call hope language when facing challenges. They say things like, "I hope I can pay this bill," or "I'm praying this check comes through." While this sounds positive on the surface, it vibrates with uncertainty and lack. The revelation that changes everything is this: you must speak from the end result, not from the process of getting there. Instead of hoping you can pay a bill, declare with authority, "My supply meets every demand on time without strain." Rather than worrying about where money will come from, affirm, "Divine substance flows to me through expected and unexpected channels." This isn't about wishful thinking, it's about vibrational alignment with what's already complete in the spiritual realm. When you consistently speak from the end result, you train your entire being, your body, your nervous system, your cellular memory, to radiate the condition you've chosen. You're creating new neural pathways aligned with abundance rather than scarcity. Each declaration rewires decades of programmed responses to money. Old patterns of anxiety dissolve, replaced by the steady certainty of sufficiency. This is deliberate vibrational, RECALIBRATION. So ask yourself, will you continue to speak from where you are, or from where you intend to be? Will your words describe limitation, or declare abundance? This decision is the turning point of your financial awakening. Now, let's step into the fourth divine law, the law of tithing with word. This principle explains why some give faithfully yet see no increase, while others give once and witness multiplication. Tithing is spiritual alignment, not superstition, not religious obligation. When given from fear or guilt, it carries no power. But when given from abundance consciousness, sealed with declaration, it activates powerful flow. Most people give money silently, perhaps with good intentions, but without activating the spiritual law of return. This is why so many who tithe still struggle financially. The missing element is declaration. When you give, whether to a church, a cause, or someone in need, you're not giving to a person, you're giving to principle. You're acknowledging spirit as your source. You don't give for favor or recognition, you give to establish covenant with divine circulation. But here's the key: as you release your tithe, you must speak over it. Declare with authority, "This tithe opens channels no man can block. I return a tenth, and the law returns 100-fold. As I release this, I expand my capacity to receive." This transforms giving from a mechanical ritual into a dynamic spiritual transaction. Never again give in silence. Never treat generosity as a gamble, or tithing as mere duty. Every seed must be watered with your voice. This is the law of tithing with word, not just giving, but giving with declaration. The law cannot resist faith. It cannot ignore declaration. It cannot withhold return from the one who gives and speaks in rhythm. If you've been tithing silently and wondering why the windows of heaven haven't opened, type in the comments, "I now seal my giving with powerful declaration." Now let's turn to a deeper partner in your prosperity, your subconscious mind. This explains why some people affirm abundance for years without results, while others declare prosperity once and see rapid manifestation. The subconscious never sleeps, never questions, it simply accepts whatever is repeated with rhythm, belief, and emotion. If your subconscious isn't programmed to expect wealth, then your affirmations and efforts will eventually collapse under inner contradiction. You may declare prosperity consciously, but if your subconscious is wired for lack, it will sabotage the outcome. Your financial reality is a perfect reflection of what your subconscious believes is possible for you. If limitation persists, despite your conscious work, it's because your deeper programming is still aligned with scarcity. The shift comes when you stop only speaking to your conscious mind and begin reprogramming your inner system. This happens through rhythm, emotion, and repetition. You must declare prosperity until your subconscious accepts it as normal. You must feel abundance until it becomes your natural emotional state. You must vibrate wealth until your entire being knows no other way to exist. This inner reprogramming is gradual, like water reshaping stone, but with each declaration, each tithe with word, each assumption of the end result, you carve a new wealth blueprint into your subconscious. If you know your subconscious needs reprogramming, type, "I am reprogramming my inner wealth blueprint." Now let's move into the fifth divine law, the law of agreement. This principle reveals why many people's manifestations remain blocked. You cannot say one thing and believe another. You cannot affirm wealth but joke about being broke. You cannot pray for provision but then gossip about scarcity. Agreement is the harmony between what you say, what you believe, and what you expect. Many affirm prosperity in the morning, yet cancel it out during the day with words of fear, doubt, or complaint. The universe doesn't respond to isolated affirmations, it responds to your dominant frequency. Every casual comment, every complaint, every anxious thought is either reinforcing abundance or renewing your agreement with lack. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who achieved full alignment. Their words, beliefs, and emotions came into covenant with prosperity. They refused to send mixed signals into the field of infinite possibility. And here's the deeper revelation. You must formally break your existing agreements with lack. These agreements were shaped by family, culture, and past experiences, often unconsciously. That's why new affirmations fail when old contracts remain active. You must declare, I break every agreement I've ever made with lack, conscious or unconscious. I dissolve all contracts with limitation. I now align only with wealth, with divine supply, with my true inheritance. This isn't metaphor, it's spiritual law. Every word either renews your contract with lack or establishes covenant with abundance. There is no neutral ground. From now on, choose carefully what you say. Watch every comment, every joke, every conversation about money. Ask, am I renewing my agreement with lack or strengthening my covenant with abundance? This awareness turns casual speech into sacred declaration. The law of agreement requires that your words, your beliefs, and your emotions align daily. When this harmony is achieved, your vibrational signal becomes so clear that the universe must respond. If you're ready to break all contracts with lack, type in the comments, I dissolve all agreements with limitation. This is the power of alignment, the foundation of effortless manifestation. We now arrive at the sixth divine law, the law of identity. This may be the most transformative principle of all. Here's the truth. You can only receive what your identity can hold. If you still see yourself as a struggler, a hustler, or someone who just barely gets by, the universe will mirror that self-image back to you. This isn't punishment, it's resonance. Life always reflects who you believe yourself to be. Your financial challenges aren't primarily about circumstances, they're about your inner identity. Most people try to change their money situation while holding on to the very self-concept that created their limitations. It's like trying to pour abundance into a container labeled scarcity. The mismatch forces your energy to reject the prosperity you're asking for. This is why affirmations alone often fail. You can say, money flows to me easily. But if deep down your identity is still, I'm the kind of person who always struggles, then your identity will override your words every time. The universe doesn't respond to occasional declarations, it responds to your consistent self-concept. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who changed their identity. They stopped chasing money and started becoming the vessel through which wealth naturally flows. They realized prosperity isn't something to pursue, something to embody. The moment you declare, I am the channel of divine wealth, and repeat it until your old self-image dissolves, everything shifts. Most people carry deeply embedded labels about money. I'm bad with money. I always lose it. I'm not the kind of person who gets rich. These aren't just thoughts, they're identity structures, and the universe must honor them. Transformation requires consciously replacing those labels with empowering ones. Erase I'm bad with money, and install I am wealth in motion. Replace, I always lose it with I am the gatekeeper of divine substance. Reject, I'm not the kind of person who gets rich, and declare I am no longer waiting, I am aligned. Now, this isn't just positive thinking, it's deep energetic recoding. Through repetition, emotion, and consistent declaration, you literally become a new person in your relationship with money. The old self dissolves, and a new self emerges, one who naturally attracts, manages, and multiplies wealth. Here's the revelation. You're not here to fix your money. You're here to transform your identity into someone who cannot help but attract abundance. When you change at the level of being rather than doing, your financial reality shifts automatically. Speak these new identity statements aloud daily, with rhythm and conviction, until they feel natural. At first they may feel foreign, even false. That's just the old identity resisting. Keep going until your new identity feels more real than the old one. When identity changes, reality follows. If you know your financial struggles are rooted in outdated identity rather than external circumstances, write in the comments, I am becoming a new money identity. Now we reach the seventh and final law, the law of obedience. This principle explains why some people understand prosperity concepts yet still struggle. You cannot command money if you will not obey law. You cannot receive from a law you refuse to honor. This isn't about religious duty or moral perfection. It's about alignment. The universe doesn't respond to intensity, it responds to consistency. It answers rhythm, not random effort. You don't need to be perfect, but you must be persistent. Obedience to spiritual law isn't restriction, it's liberation. Most people resist structure, treating prosperity practices casually, applying them when convenient, abandoning them when inconvenient. But this keeps them stuck in cycles of temporary progress followed by regression. True financial freedom comes when you surrender to the rhythm of these laws, not from fear, but from wisdom. Just as you don't argue with gravity, you don't need to resist the principles that govern prosperity. Spiritual obedience is practical, daily repetition. It's declaring prosperity when your bank account shows lack. It's blessing your finances when bills pile up. It's holding your prosperity identity steady when circumstances scream otherwise. This consistent practice in the face of contradiction is what turns theory into demonstration. The question is, will you treat these laws as casual suggestions, or as your new normal? Will you practice them only when you feel inspired, or as faithfully as breathing? That choice will determine whether these principles remain interesting ideas or become the foundation of your financial transformation. When you truly embrace obedience, something remarkable happens. The other 6 laws activate your words gain power. Your identity stabilizes. Your circulation produces return. What once required effort becomes natural. The practices you had to remember become impossible to forget because they're no longer things you do. They're who you are. If you're ready to step into consistency, write in the comments, "I commit to spiritual obedience." Now, let's put these laws into daily practice through what I call the 7-day covenant. For 7 consecutive days, you will practice all 7 laws, not randomly, not only when you feel like it, but as your new rhythm and vibration. This immersion is the catalyst that transforms theory into results. The covenant isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. The universe doesn't reward flawless execution, it responds to faithful continuation. If you forget, return. If you drift, reset. Law doesn't punish mistakes, it rewards. Rhythm. Start each day with the morning command. Before checking your phone or speaking to anyone, declare, "My voice is the voice of wealth. I speak money into motion." Then embody the law of assumption by declaring, "I live as though my supply is already released." This sets the tone for your entire day, shielding your mind from fear-based thinking. At midday, practice alignment by substitution. Whenever thoughts of lack arise, don't resist them. Interrupt and replace them immediately with declarations like, "I am divinely provided for. There is no loss in spirit." Every substitution rewires your subconscious, dissolving old scarcity patterns and reinforcing your new wealth identity. And each evening, complete the day with the evening seal, before bed. The most powerful time for subconscious programming. Engage the law of circulation. Tithe, give, or circulate something, even if small. The amount isn't what matters, it's the consciousness behind it. Seal your day with gratitude and declaration, allowing abundance to take root in your subconscious as you sleep. This daily rhythm is how theory becomes reality. It's not about wishing, it's about covenant. It's not about trying, it's about becoming. If you're ready to step into this 7-day covenant, type in the comments, "I live by divine law." As you release this seed, declare with conviction, "This seed is blessed. It returns to me multiplied." Feel the vibrational shift that happens when you give not from obligation, but from alignment with divine law. Seal your day with the law of expectation by affirming, "I expect to receive, I expect miracles." This isn't desperate hoping, it's spiritual certainty. You're instructing your subconscious to notice opportunities, divine connections, and manifestations already in motion. This expectancy creates an energetic magnetism that draws good toward you, even while you sleep. Most people let the challenges of the day dictate their evening thoughts, rehearsing problems and limitations before bed. But when you deliberately close your day with prosperity consciousness, your subconscious spends the night working for your abundance, not against it. The power of repetition. Repetition is not redundancy. It is the mechanism of spiritual mastery. You must repeat the cycle of morning command, midday alignment, and evening seal for 7 consecutive days. 7 is not random, it represents completion, a full cycle of creation. The law doesn't reward occasional bursts of effort, it rewards persistent rhythm. Consistency matters more than intensity. If you forget, simply return without judgment. If you slip into old thinking, reset without condemnation. Transformation doesn't require flawless execution, which requires faithful continuation. Behind the scenes, every repetition is rewiring your brain and imprinting your spirit. Each declaration establishes a new vibrational signature that the universe must eventually match. Over time, these practices shift from something you do into something you are. Declarations of prosperity. To unlock the laws of abundance, speak these words with authority. Money moves when I speak. My voice is currency. Your words carry power. Stop speaking casually about money. Every sentence is either opening or closing financial channels. Your declarations are not wishes, they're divine instructions. I tithe and multiply. What I release returns, stamped with divine increase. Giving is not loss, it's circulation. When you give consciously, with declaration, your seed cannot return voided, must return multiplied. I am already supplied. I do not ask, I assume. I do not beg, I receive. This isn't about future abundance, it's about present supply. In spirit, your provision is already complete. You are not a beggar. You are an heir. I vibrate in agreement with abundance. I speak only what I want multiplied. Your words must match your desire. Speak only what you want to expand. Refuse to give voice to limitation. This is not denial, it's conscious creation. Finally, seal everything with the master declaration. Because I obey divine law, money cannot ignore me. This is spiritual certainty. Money doesn't decide if it will come, it must respond to your alignment with divine principles. The living energy of money is not neutral, it is alive with spiritual energy. Every time you hold a bill, swipe a card, or make a payment, you're imprinting it with your vibration. When you pay bills with resentment or check balances with fear, money receives that command and organizes future experiences to match it. But when you bless money, treat it with reverence, and declare increase over it, you transform every transaction into a sacred exchange. If you are silent, scarcity speaks for you. Silence is not neutral, it's agreement with lack. That's why you must deliberately speak increase. This money multiplies as it circulates. Divine substance cannot be depleted. What I release returns multiplied. These declarations program your money with spiritual DNA, ensuring it returns to you stamped with abundance. A sacred relationship. The key is presence. Every bill you pay, every coin you hold, every receipt you sign is a spiritual altar. Handle money as living energy, not a limited resource. Speak increase over it. Bless it, see it multiply. Declare with full conviction, divine substance cannot be depleted. I bless this money and see it multiply under grace in perfect ways. This declaration acknowledges infinite supply, blesses your money, and gives it instructions to return. By adding under grace, you release the how-to divine intelligence, ensuring the return comes through perfect channels. Final revelation: money is not dirty, evil, or unspiritual. It is divine substance in form. The belief that money is corrupt keeps people locked in struggle, desiring it while secretly believing it's wrong to have it. But when you see money as sacred energy, when you bless it, when you speak multiplication over it, everything changes. You're no longer chasing money, you're aligning with it. And because law never fails, money cannot ignore you. If you're ready to step into this covenant, commit fully to the 7 days, speak with authority, handle every dollar with reverence, declare increase at every exchange. And remember, you're not just practicing prosperity, you're becoming prosperity. The revelation that changes everything is this: money is not dirty, evil, or carnal. That belief comes from the world's doctrine, not divine truth. In reality, money is God's invisible supply made visible. It is divine substance in tangible form, a physical expression of the infinite. Abundance flowing through all creation. When you recognize money is sacred instead of profane, you remove the hidden barriers that block your prosperity. This represents a complete shift in your relationship with wealth. You're no longer chasing something worldly and separate from your spiritual life. Instead, you're aligning with the natural flow of divine abundance, always meant to support your highest expression. Money is drawn to those who honor its sacred nature. Not because they're trying to manipulate energy, but because they're in harmony with its essence. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who healed their spiritual relationship with money. They stopped believing prosperity, compromised spiritual values, and realized abundance is their birthright. They let go of unconscious guilt about having too much, and embraced the truth that divine supply is unlimited. The journey from financial anxiety to flow begins with this recalibration. Money is divine substance made manifest. This isn't wishful thinking. It's aligning with spiritual truth that transforms your entire financial experience. You're not forcing outcomes, but dissolving the artificial walls between your spiritual nature and material needs. If you're ready to release the belief that money is separate from your spiritual life, declare in the comments, money is divine substance. Here's a deeper truth. What you scorn cannot stay, and what you resist cannot return. Many people unknowingly push money away with resentment, criticism, or ambivalence. They criticize wealth while secretly desiring it. They call money the root of all evil while praying for more. This contradiction creates resistance. It's like trying to hug someone while pushing them away at the same time. Money, being pure energy, responds with precision to your dominant vibration. It cannot flow into a heart that resents it. The shift begins when you realize what you bless multiplies, what you honor attracts. Money doesn't need your approval, it simply follows the law of resonance. When you treat it with appreciation and reverence, recognizing its sacred purpose in your life, it naturally gravitates toward you. Your finances reflect your beliefs and vibration with perfect accuracy. Behind every breakthrough is someone who stopped seeing money as a necessary evil and began treating it as an ally. They moved from judgment to gratitude, and their external reality transformed. Now, let's go even deeper. The words you use about money carry immense creative power. Casual statements like money is hard to come by or I never have enough are not harmless there. Powerful declarations that shape your reality. Transformation requires new declarations aligned with infinite abundance. Never again say, money is hard to come by. Instead, affirm, God is my instant, constant, and lavish supply. Large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. This isn't mere positive thinking, it's vibrational alignment with truth. God is my instant supply reminds you that your source isn't your job or investments, but divine mind itself. Constant affirms this supply is perpetual, not occasional. Lavish breaks free from the limiting belief of just enough. Most people think wealth must come slowly, but divine supply is not bound by time or human logic. Adding under grace in perfect ways ensures that your abundance flows with harmony, not struggle, through channels you might never have imagined. If you're ready for this shift, declare in the comments, infinite abundance flows to me now. Let's talk about a practice that transforms your financial reality, blessing every dollar that enters and leaves your hands. Most people simply earn, spend, save, or invest without blessing their money. This is a missed opportunity. When you bless every paycheck, every gift, every payment you send, you change the energetic signature of that currency, declaring, this money is divine substance. It cannot be depleted. It flows to me and through me under grace, multiplying as it goes, activates a new pattern of increase. Instead of seeing spending as loss, you begin to see it as circulation. Paying bills no longer feels like depletion, but participation in divine flow. Giving no longer feels like sacrifice, but seeding for multiplication. This shift aligns you with a spiritual principle as old as creation, the law of multiplication. Whatever you bless, multiplies. This isn't theory, it's law. Just as a single seed multiplies into a harvest, or loaves and fishes fed thousands once blessed. Blessing your money activates increased thought. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who discovered this principle and practiced it faithfully. When you bless your income, it grows. When you bless your giving, it returns multiplied. Abundance is not coincidence, is the direct result of aligning your consciousness with divine law. They stopped seeing money as something that only shrinks when used and started recognizing it as something that actually grows when blessed and circulated with intention. Their relationship with money shifted from fear-based conservation to faith-based multiplication. Here's the revelation that changes everything. Blessing is not just a spiritual nicety, it's a powerful technology that literally alters the behavior of energy. When you bless money consciously, consistently, and with clear intention, You change its vibrational signature. You program it to multiply instead of diminish, to return instead of depart, to increase instead of decrease. Blessing every dollar is a complete paradigm shift in how you interact with money. You're no longer a passive recipient of financial energy. You become an active programmer of its behavior. You're no longer at the mercy of economic conditions. You're aligned with spiritual principles that transcend circumstances. You're ready to transform your relationship with money through the conscious practice of blessing. Right? I bless money, and it multiplies in the comments. Let me share a true story that illustrates this. A woman found herself in desperate financial circumstances with only $2 left. Bills were piling up, rent was due, and panic was setting in. But instead of despairing, she made a life-changing decision. She held those $2 in her hand and declared, "This is God's money. It is spiritual substance. It cannot be depleted." This wasn't wishful thinking, it was alignment with divine law. She refused to see those dollars as her last. Instead, she recognized them as symbols of infinite spiritual supply. Within a week, not months or years, but $6,000 unexpectedly arrived. Someone she hadn't spoken to in years felt compelled to send her exactly what she needed to cover expenses and create breathing room. Most people would call this luck, but those who understand spiritual law recognize it as demonstration, the law of multiplication, activated through blessing. Her declaration didn't create money out of thin air. It aligned her with what was already prepared for her in the unseen. Here's the deeper truth. The amount you have right now, whether $2 or $2 million, is irrelevant. The principle is the same. When you recognize money as spiritual substance that cannot be depleted and declare this truth with conviction, you activate forces that transcend human limitation. Now, let's go deeper. One of the most revolutionary revelations about prosperity is this. Money is never far from you, it's only out of tune with your frequency. Most people believe money is scarce, distant, or difficult to attract. They spend their lives chasing it. But the truth is that money isn't absent, it's simply awaiting alignment. Your word becomes your tuning fork. Just as a tuning fork sets a frequency that brings instruments into harmony, your declarations set the vibration that brings money into resonance with your life. When you affirm, money is here, money is ready, money multiplies now under grace, you're not pleading with an absent force, you're tuning yourself to where abundance already exists. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who stopped searching for money out there and started aligning with it through declaration. They stopped asking, "Where is my money?" and started affirming, "Money is here now." Your financial reality is not about how much money exists or how worthy you are. It's simply feedback about your current vibration. If abundance feels elusive, it's not because it's unavailable, but because your frequency isn't yet in harmony with it. The moment you shift through conscious declaration, money must respond with precision. This isn't emotional or random, it's vibrational and exact. When you consistently declare, "Money multiplies now under grace," you're not hoping, you're aligning with spiritual law. If you're ready to recognize that money isn't far away but simply awaiting vibrational alignment, right? I tune my frequency to prosperity in the comments. Let's look at a timeless demonstration of this law, the miracle of the loaves and fishes. Faced with thousands of hungry people and only a few loaves and fish, Jesus didn't panic or obsess over the lack. He looked up, acknowledging source. He gave thanks for what was present, not what was missing. Then he took action in faith, and the food multiplied. This wasn't about calculation or effort, it was about conscious alignment with spiritual law. Multiplication flowed from gratitude, declaration, and faithful action. The same principle applies to money. Look at what you currently have, however small, with gratitude instead of anxiety. Speak increase over it. Take action from faith instead of fear. Multiplication becomes inevitable. Here's another key revelation. Do not wait until you have more to declare abundance. Speak now, speak when it's small. Many people hold back, thinking, "Once I have more money, then I'll feel abundant enough to declare prosperity." But creation doesn't work that way. Declaration comes first, manifestation follows. The one who blesses their last $5 is the one who ultimately manages overflow. Every dollar contains the pattern of millions. It's not the amount that matters, it's the consciousness you bring to it. Every financial transaction, paying a bill, making a purchase, receiving a paycheck, can become a sacred moment. Declare with authority, divine substance cannot be depleted. I bless this money and see it multiply under grace in perfect ways. Say it with conviction, not as routine, but as law. This transforms ordinary transactions into spiritual rituals. Paying bills no longer feels like depletion, it becomes circulation. Checking your balance no longer brings anxiety. It becomes affirmation of divine substance. Here's the truth. The words you speak over money as it passes through your hands shape its future behavior. Each declaration imprints energy that influences how money responds to you. But here's the trap many fall into. It's not your occasional affirmations that shape your finances. It's your consistent declarations. If you affirm abundance for 5 minutes each morning but spend the rest of the day joking about being broke, your dominant vibration is still lack. The universe doesn't distinguish between serious affirmations and casual remarks, simply responds. That's why guarding your speech is critical. Every casual word about money is a command to the universe. Saying I can't afford that or money slips through my fingers isn't describing reality, it's creating it. Instead, reframe, say, I'm choosing to direct my resources differently right now, or I'm becoming more conscious about how I circulate divine substance. This isn't playing with words, it's shifting vibration. Your tongue is not just for communication, it's for creation. Every phrase is a seed. Speak life, and life multiplies. Speak lack, and lack multiplies. When you touch your wallet, open your banking app, or handle money in any way, declare with conviction, I do not curse my supply. I declare it sacred. Money flows to me freely, and I speak only life over it. This breaks the cycle of unconscious negativity and establishes a new pattern of prosperity. Remember, the universe doesn't respond to your plans or calculations, it responds to your vibration. Your declaration isn't building abundance, it's opening the door to what already exists. Behind every financial miracle is someone who stopped cursing their supply, started blessing it, and spoke life into every dollar. If you're ready to do the same, write, I now guard my words about money, in the comments. This is how you transform every financial moment into a sacred act of multiplication, and shift from financial struggle into financial flow. This practice represents spiritual mastery at the highest level. You're no longer reacting to your financial circumstances, you're creating them through conscious declaration. You're no longer passively accepting limitation, you're actively programming abundance. You're no longer allowing unconscious patterns to dictate your prosperity. You're deliberately establishing the vibrational blueprint your finances must follow. The journey from financial frustration to abundant flow requires this awareness in every money moment of your life. Each time you touch your wallet, check your account, pay a bill, or even talk about money, becomes a sacred opportunity to program prosperity instead of limitation. These aren't just routine tasks, they are spiritual technologies that shape your financial reality. If you're ready to transform everyday money moments, from unconscious limitation to conscious creation, write, I speak only life over my finances, in the comments. Now, let's explore how to apply these principles to one of the most dreaded financial activities, paying bills. Most people approach bill payment with dread, anxiety, or resentment. They see it as loss, depletion, or proof that there's never enough. But this mindset actually creates more of the financial pressure they're trying to escape. The awakening happens when you realize that paying a bill is not depletion, it's circulation. It's proof that you trust the source to refill what you've released. When you pay your rent or mortgage with gratitude instead of resentment, you're not just meeting an obligation, you're participating in divine flow. When you pay your utility bill with appreciation instead of fear, you're not just avoiding disconnection, you're activating increase. This doesn't mean you deny the reality of financial obligations. It means you elevate them from being mundane burdens to sacred opportunities to demonstrate trust in infinite supply. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who shifted their perspective on bill payment, from seeing it as evidence of lack to recognizing it as participation in abundance. Most people unconsciously contract when they click pay now or write a check. That subtle feeling of fear and resistance becomes part of the energetic imprint of the transaction, programming their finances with never enough. But when you release payment with gratitude and expectation, you create a completely different vibrational pattern. Here's a revolutionary practice. Whenever you pay a bill, housing, utilities, education, or services, whisper with conviction, I pay this, enjoy, and it returns to me multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This isn't wishful thinking, it's alignment with divine law. It's conscious participation in the eternal cycle of circulation. Think about nature. Blood must circulate to sustain the body, water must circulate to sustain the earth, and air must circulate to sustain life. Stagnation creates decay, but circulation produces vitality and growth. The same is true of money. Many spiritually aware people still struggle financially because they grasp the concept of circulation intellectually but emotionally resist it when releasing money. They affirm abundance in theory, but resent paying bills in practice. That contradiction creates the very limitation they're trying to overcome. When you pay in joy and declare multiplication, you're not just hoping, you're aligning with the way divine economy actually works. The phrase, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, comes from scripture. It isn't metaphor, it's an exact description of how energy behaves when released with the right consciousness. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't require more money, it requires a new mindset. You don't have to change your circumstances to begin, you only need to change how you respond to the money already flowing through your life. If you're ready to turn bill payment from a dreaded task into a prosperity ritual, write, I pay in joy and receive multiplied in the comments. Now, let's go even deeper into this truth. Every visible manifestation begins as an invisible declaration. Most people think abundance begins with external circumstances, getting a raise, landing a big deal, or stumbling upon good fortune. But the real starting point is your words. Your riches don't begin in your bank account, they begin in your speech. The world tells you to describe what you see and wait for evidence before speaking abundance. But divine law works in the opposite order. You must speak abundance before you see it. You must declare prosperity in the face of limitation. You must affirm overflow even while bills are staring you in the face. The shift comes when you realize your word isn't describing reality, it's creating it. It's not a report, it's a blueprint. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who refused to let their mouth agree with lack. They spoke prosperity in the midst of insufficiency. They declared abundance long before the evidence appeared. This isn't denial or delusion, it's alignment with divine order, where the word always precedes manifestation. Consider this story. A woman found herself in dire circumstances. No savings, no job, no opportunities on the horizon. But instead of speaking lack, she chose to speak what she wanted to see. Every day, she declared, I see yellow bills, I see green bills, I see pink checks with divine abundance written in my name. She wasn't describing her mailbox, she was programming it. And within weeks, not years, her mailbox held exactly what she had declared. Checks and bills, in the very colors she had spoken, arrived from sources she couldn't have predicted. This wasn't coincidence. It was demonstration, the natural result of aligning her speech with divine law. Here's the truth. Your spoken word doesn't need to match your current reality. It only needs to match the reality you desire. You're not speaking to convince yourself of something false. You're aligning with what's already true in the spiritual realm, waiting to take form in your experience. Romans 4:17 reveals this divine pattern. God calleth those things which be not as though they were. Creation doesn't wait for evidence, it speaks first, then manifests. When you declare, I see riches surrounding me, while your bank balance looks empty, you're not denying reality, you're creating it. You're aligning with the exact creative process that brought the universe into being. To apply this in your daily life, begin every morning with declarations like, I see riches surrounding me. I walk in financial peace every day in every way. My supply multiplies visibly and invisibly. Don't speak them as if they might happen some days. Speak them as present reality. Not, I will, but I am. This difference between hoping and commanding is the difference between delay and manifestation. At first, your words may feel like they're clashing with your outer reality. But with consistent declaration, your inner world shifts from doubt to certainty, from fear to peace, from lack to abundance. And as your inner world shifts, your outer circumstances must eventually follow. This is spiritual mastery. You stop letting external circumstances program your inner world, and instead, you program your inner world through your word. You stop waiting for your bank account to make you feel abundant, and instead, you establish the vibration of abundance first, knowing the external must eventually align. The real turning point is this. Are you willing to keep speaking prosperity with conviction, even when your current circumstances seem to argue against it? If so, you'll discover what every great teacher of truth has always known. The word always precedes the manifestation. If you're ready to align your words with the abundance you desire, not the limitation you see, write, I speak abundance into existence in the comments. This isn't denial, it's transcendence. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about creating a new reality through alignment with divine patterns. If you're ready to align your speech with the divine law of calling things that are not as though they already exist, write in the comments, "I call forth my invisible good." Now, let's go deeper into how to maintain unwavering faith in your declarations, even when your circumstances seem to contradict them. And let's uncover why what might feel like harmless humor about your finances could actually be programming your life for lack. Here's a powerful truth. The subconscious mind has no sense of humor. It doesn't laugh. It doesn't play. It simply records and obeys. This is why so many spiritually aware people, who even understand prosperity principles, remain stuck in financial struggle. Think about it when you joke about being broke, when you laugh about always struggling, when you call yourself bad with money. Even in jest, your subconscious doesn't take those words lightly. It doesn't recognize sarcasm. It accepts your words as literal instructions. I'll give you an example. There was a woman who used to joke, over and over, that one day she'd be living in a trunk on the side of the road. People laughed. She laughed. She laughed. It was all meant as a joke. But her subconscious wasn't laughing. It was taking notes. And eventually, she found herself in that exact situation, living out the words she had repeated for years, not because the universe was cruel, but because it was obedient. It simply fulfilled the vibration she established through her repeated declarations, even though they were made in jest. Behind every financial disaster, there's often someone unknowingly programming it through words they thought were harmless. Your subconscious doesn't care whether you were joking. It only hears instructions. This leads to a powerful revelation. There are no neutral words in prosperity consciousness. Every word either builds or destroys. Every declaration either aligns with truth or with fear. Every sentence either directs money toward you or away from you. When you joke about being broke, divine law doesn't laugh. It arranges circumstances to match your declaration. When you laugh about always being the last to get paid, it fulfills that decree. When you say you're bad with money, the universe simply makes it so. This isn't about superstition, it's about creative law. Words are not just sounds. They are commands. They shape reality. Your casual conversations about money are not harmless. They are instructions to the creative force that governs your life. So the question becomes, will you keep using your words unconsciously, reinforcing limitation, or will you consciously direct your words toward prosperity, even in casual conversation? That choice is the turning point of your financial life. And here's the good news: you don't need more money to begin. You don't need new circumstances to start. You simply need to transform the way you speak about money. This shift alone begins to reprogram your reality. If you're ready to release the habit of joking about lack and start speaking only prosperity, just write in the comments, "I speak only prosperity, even in jest." Now, let's explore how to reverse the effects of negative declarations, because here's the truth. You're not stuck with them. Just as words can program limitation, words can also cancel and rewrite that program. If you've joked about being broke, complained about never having enough, or casually reinforced lack, it's time for a reset. Speak this declaration with conviction. Every idle word I have spoken about money is now neutralized, reversed, and replaced by divine truth. This is not wishful thinking. It's vibrational law in action. You are literally canceling the old program, unwinding the pattern of limitation, and installing a new blueprint aligned with abundance. Most people believe once they've spoken negatively, they're stuck with the consequences. But in truth, conscious declarations aligned with divine law can rewrite your financial destiny. And this leads us into the formula of manifestation itself. Creation always follows this sequence. Vision gives, vibration gives visible. First you see it in imagination. Then you seal it with your word, creating a vibration. From that vibration, the physical must eventually manifest. Most people try to reverse the process. They wait to see before they believe. They wait for money to appear before they affirm prosperity. But manifestation doesn't work that way. The invisible always comes before the visible. Imagination is not fantasy, it's the first stage of creation. When you vividly see yourself abundant, you're not daydreaming. You're building the blueprint. When you speak over that vision, you lock it into vibration. And from that vibration, reality eventually reshapes itself to match. Behind every financial breakthrough is this same formula. Someone saw it inwardly, spoke it outwardly, and lived into it until it appeared visibly. If you're ready to follow this divine sequence, write in the comments, "I follow the divine sequence of creation." Now, Let's take it even further. Prosperity isn't just about what you say, it's also about when you say it. Timing matters. There are sacred windows of consciousness, the moments right before sleep and right after waking. At these times, your analytical mind is quiet, and your subconscious is wide open to suggestion. These are powerful gateways for prosperity programming. When you bless your money before sleep, you plant abundance into your subconscious, which works all night to align your reality. When you declare prosperity first thing in the morning, you set the vibration for your entire day before the world can impose lack. This isn't adding extra work, it's transforming what you're already doing. You already fall asleep and wake up every day. Now you're just infusing those transitions with divine power. So here's a simple but transformative bedtime declaration. I now draw from the abundance within and see wealth without. Every dollar I touch returns to me blessed and multiplied. This is not just a nice phrase, it's a command to your subconscious. It shifts your perspective from chasing money to recognizing that abundance flows from within you, then expresses outwardly. And when you speak this before sleep, you give your subconscious clear instructions to manifest that abundance as you rest. This is the power of sacred timing. This is how you transform sleep into wealth creation. If you're ready to bless your finances at the doorposts of each day, before sleep and upon waking, write in the comments, I bless my finances at the doorposts of each day. The awakening begins when you realize this declaration isn't just empty words spoken into the air. It's vibrational programming directly installed into your subconscious mind during the most receptive hours of the day, while you sleep. This affirmation continues to echo through your deeper consciousness, reshaping your prosperity blueprint at the most fundamental level. Your subconscious doesn't rest, it works tirelessly through the night, reorganizing your reality according to the instructions you've given it before sleep. Behind every financial breakthrough is someone who transformed their sleep from passive rest into active creation. Through this very practice, they recognized that the 8 hours spent sleeping could become a powerful window for prosperity, programming an opportunity most people completely overlook. By consciously directing their subconscious mind before bed, they activated a cycle of abundance creation that continued even as they rested. Now, let's go deeper into a revelation that exposes one of the most insidious barriers to financial abundance: unconscious guilt about wealth. This hidden guilt explains why many spiritually aware people remain stuck in financial limitation, even though they understand prosperity principles. Guilt about wanting money acts as an invisible thief. It silently steals the very prosperity you're trying to create through your spiritual practice. But here's the truth. Guilt is not your natural state. It's a programmed belief installed through culture, family patterns, or distorted spiritual teachings, and it can be released. Many people secretly believe they're unworthy of riches, that desiring abundance is selfish, that prosperity might corrupt them, or that money is somehow at odds with spiritual values. These unconscious beliefs create contradiction. Outwardly, they affirm abundance, but inwardly, they feel they shouldn't desire it or don't deserve it. That inner conflict sabotages manifestation at its root. True freedom begins when you cleanse yourself of these false beliefs. When you release the guilt that whispers, you're not worthy, or that wealth is unspiritual. This is not just a psychological shift, it's an energetic recalibration that removes invisible barriers between you and the prosperity that is already yours as divine inheritance. The journey from financial frustration to flow requires healing your emotional relationship with wealth. Affirmations alone are not enough if guilt lingers underneath. Once you release the shame of desiring and receiving money, your declarations begin to work with power and precision. If you recognize that unconscious guilt has been sabotaging your prosperity, write in the comments, I release all guilt about wealth. Now let's explore a declaration that dismantles this guilt and rewrites your emotional blueprint with money. Speak these words with conviction. It is right for me to prosper. I use money in love, and money flows to me in peace. My wealth is a blessing to all. I release guilt and walk in truth. Each line carries power. It is right for me to prosper confronts the lie that abundance is wrong or undeserved. I use money in love, and money flows to me in peace. Resolves the fear that wealth corrupts or divides you from your higher values. My wealth is a blessing to all. Heals the guilt that says your prosperity takes from others. Instead, it affirms that your abundance elevates everyone it touches. This declaration transforms money from something heavy with guilt into something sacred, an energy that blesses, uplifts, and flows with peace. Now let's go deeper into a spiritual law that changes everything. The law never fails. This is why some people experience consistent prosperity while others, practicing the same principles, remain stuck. Divine law does not play favorites, nor does it operate randomly. It responds with absolute precision to your vibrational offering. When you speak truth with conviction, maintain it without contradiction, and seal it with silence, the law immediately begins rearranging your circumstances. Behind every breakthrough is someone who stopped waiting, hoping, or doubting, and simply aligned themselves with law. The law isn't testing you. It isn't withholding from you. It responds with the same reliability as gravity. Prosperity doesn't arrive through luck. It arrives through alignment. Most people approach abundance with subtle doubt. Will this work for me? That doubt creates vibrational interference. But when you understand that divine law never fails, that it is exact, dependable, and impartial, your entire relationship with manifestation shifts. You move from hoping to knowing. When you speak prosperity with authority, when you refuse to contradict your word with fear or careless humor, when you trust the process without constant anxious monitoring, then manifestation becomes inevitable. If you're ready to release guilt about wealth and fully trust in the law of prosperity, write in the comments, "I trust the law of prosperity completely." To close this journey tonight, I want to thank you for letting these words of truth enter your consciousness as you prepare for rest. What we've explored tonight isn't just theory, it's living frequency. These principles are now at work in your life, ready to transform your financial reality as you sleep. If something within you has awakened, if you feel a stirring of remembrance of your true inheritance of abundance, I invite you to join this community of conscious creators. Subscribe to this channel so that these frequencies can continue flowing into your life, helping you remain aligned with truth. The transformation doesn't happen in one night, it deepens through rhythm and consistency. That's why I create these meditations, to provide the sacred rhythm your prosperity consciousness requires to fully blossom. If this message reached you at exactly the right time, leave a comment saying, "Divine timing brought me here." That way I'll know these words found the one they were meant for. And if you felt the energy shift during this message, tap the like button. It's a simple way of acknowledging the connection we've shared, while helping others find these prosperity frequencies when they need them most. I've also created another meditation that beautifully complements this one, focused on dissolving the deepest subconscious blocks to wealth while you sleep. You'll see it appearing here next. Follow it if your spirit feels drawn. Remember, you were not created for struggle. You were not designed for lack. You were designed for overflow. As you rest tonight, let these truths settle into your being. Divine abundance is your birthright. Claim it now, and rest in perfect peace.